Hey, fellow film fans, Englentine here for the Xtreme Movie Show, and we're going to talk about some news, but I think a lot of what we're going to talk about is the fact that there's no news. I mean, what the freaking hell is going on that's interesting in the world of movies right now? Because there's just nothing happening. We were literally just now talking about Camila, what's his name, that's going to be in the comic book movie that nobody cared about until they made an announcement, a Jack Kirby film, the Eternals. Nobody cares about them. I've been I'm actually at this point 46-year comic book collector. I've read the Eternals. It's all right. Look, Jack Kirby's a brilliant artist, not a great writer, but he is a brilliant artist, and I love all the imagery you'll find in these books. I love the imagery you'll find in his New God books. But the thing is, we're talking about this guy, the Indian guy. He was in Stuber, and here to help me talk about nothing, because there's nothing to talk about, is Rob Classic.
Good evening, sir. And there's always something to talk about.
Well, you know, we're going to make it
because we're extreme.
You know what? We're gonna give them something to talk about.
There you go. And the real Dr. VENKMAN is with us, except no substitutes. All right, so yeah, we're talking about this dude, Camila. We got to get his name. Look it up, VENKMAN. It's Stuber, whatever it's called. Yeah,
he's the guy with Batista, the guy who's like supposed to
Batista in Stuber.
He's also Deadpool as well.
What's his name?
Kumail Nanjiani.
Kumail Nanjiani. No, that's not the same guy. You racist mother. No, that's not the same guy in Deadpool. The cab driver.
No. In a sense, they're both pointless.
No, but we were talking about how what were you saying, Rob? That he's complaining that he had to work out. And
I'm sick and tired of all these Hollywood cream puff guys talk about how hard they got to work for, you know, their stupid friggin' body for a friggin' role, and about how all they eat is broccoli, rice, and chicken breasts, while they do 3 sets of 10 to 12 weights of something as stupid as a Bosu ball and bands without really hardly lifting any weight at all. The only exception to that, of course, might be, you know, of course, The Rock, you know, and of course, Marky Mark, and of course, Wolverine. I mean, because I watched what he did, and he actually did a semi-real lifting program. And let's be honest, a body for Hollywood is not the same thing as a body for sports or a body for health and what you would have in real life. And it irritates me to no end that you can have allegedly the best trainers, allegedly the best health experts, allegedly the best cooks, nutritionists, massage people, everything that you could ever possibly want to maximize whatever God-given, or I know that upsets some people, your natural born genetics, even though people like to change them these days. But it just irritates me that you get a guy that did nothing more than shred off a couple pounds, act like he did something, complain about how hard he is, and act ashamed of how his body looked. Look, you're born with your genetics. You really can't change your body that much. You can take all the steroids you want. Steroids don't make you a winner. The hard work does. And as a long time Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, Stallone fan, bodybuilding fan, especially growing up in the 80s, that was like the golden age, the 70s and 80s of bodybuilding. I paid attention to all that stuff. And as a coach and as somebody that goes to the gym frequently, even in my middle age, I know what it's like and what it's out there. And so I begrudge nobody the opportunity to do what they can with what they have, even if it's drug enhanced. But I don't see how a guy like him is a movie star. And I understand that a lot of Hollywood people are somewhat slightly physical built and all that too. And you can make them pretty with makeup and lighting, green screen, aging, all that stuff. Great. But it reeks of entitlement that you get somebody like him going out there complaining. It sickens me to no end. And Tom Cruise, as much crap as, people give him, as much, love I give him on the show, he at least tries to do most of his own stunts at his age. And I respect him a lot for doing it. And you hear zero complaints about him. All you hear is that, as good as it may sound fake and funny with Tom Cruise, he'll sit there and say, we really want to try to up the ante here in Mission Impossible 5 with some of our motorcycle stunts. And you know what? He gives everybody credit rather than himself. He goes, we have an awesome team that's working with us, his co-stars. He'll talk about each one individually. He will give props to every single person, and the person that's giving them food and money and everybody on set except himself, just saying, well, hey, you know what? Let's just try it out and everything else. And that's the magic of somebody like him versus a clown like this Camille guy who really, I don't know what the hell he's doing. But you know what? How mad can I get? If people pay money to go see him, that's great. I don't know why they do it, but they just do. And that's where you millennials need to help me understand it, because I don't get it.
Well, unfortunately, you don't have. I think Venkman's our resident millennial here, but yeah, I don't get it. I mean, here the thing is, you're being paid.
Not a millennial, according to online internet. I am a Generation X.
Well, that changes. That changes
Exactly.
everything.
You could be a millennial, for all you know.
At this point, the weird thing is, yeah, they're being paid millions of dollars in a lot of cases, or at least up to $1 million plus the back end and and sometimes they get merchandise and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, millions of dollars, and they work out, and they've got trainers, like you said, and they have the chefs, like you said. Sorry, but I don't think a guy who's working out in construction on a freaking hot ass Florida day, laying out asphalt and tar, is going to be sympathizing. It just isn't. It just isn't that kind of thing. So, we were talking personally. You, me, and everybody were just kind of sharing what was going on between friends, and I mentioned, this is my world, guys, the world of the gig economy. And I'm sorry, but even people like myself, I've pretty much been the poor guy as far as our friends are concerned. That's fine, but one thing I've learned is, you go out and you do whatever you can to scrape up a buck. So I'm sorry, but cry me a freaking river. Look, I know that this guy put in some work, becoming a comedian. He had to go play houses that wouldn't laugh and, or doesn't laugh to get the laugh, and that got him into. I understand that there is work behind it, but you're doing what you love. Shut the fuck up. Sorry for the language.
Well, I want to bring RDV in here because obviously he's on Kicking a lot and a lot of the other shows too. So we've covered, as you well know, a lot of 80s action films, which are extremely popular. And I think one of the interesting things about him too is you take somebody like Chuck Norris, who has a great physique, at the time for his age, natural and everything else, not the biggest guy in the world, maybe 5'9" prime, maybe 170, let's say. So, but good looking physique. He always worked out. We always saw him on those infomercials with Billy Joel's wife for the device he had, that inclined thing whose name escapes me. But let me ask you, Doctor, with the stuff that we've covered, and again, this isn't a sexual thing here at all, but when you see somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a film, isn't a part of the attraction of the film the fact that you got some guy like him or Dolph Lundgren, and they're just physical freaks of nature, they're specimens? Don't you appreciate that like that or not?
Honestly, you don't want He-Man to look like he's like, what's the guy who plays Garfield on Supernatural? You don't want the guy for the new guy. You don't want some string bean. I have the power. He barely hit the sword. No, you don't want a weakling like that, because that's if you're going for a serious movie. But I want to address what this guy actually said, not what you guys are talking about him.
Okay.
In Hollywood Reporter, he said, because he released last year a photo of him, a shirtless photo, and the guy he says basically, I don't want to get into it, but you get a weird body dysmorphia when the whole world is concentrating on how you look. And listen, I am very grateful, and I put those pictures out for a reason, right? I did that because I wanted that reaction, obviously. But when you get that reaction, it's a little weird. You're like, people are really judging a little bits of your physical being, and I know a lot of people have it a lot worse than me, but it makes you feel naked, and I became shallow. I got obsessed with how I look, and then all I would see are what I perceive as flaws. And I got to realize, you know what? That's a victim statement. You were paid to say that.
Well, here's the thing, though. A lot of people do. I mean, if you're basic, I think a lot of people do. You look in the mirror, and I'll look in the mirror. I don't see stuff, or I'll see stuff that Gail doesn't see. She does the same thing.
I'll just say this.
I don't care about it, but she'll obsess. I'll obsess about certain things. Yeah.
For a guy who he's got into shape, he looks good and stuff, and he complain like, I don't want people to look at me and judge me and something. Like, guess what, dude? You're not 300 pounds. People are going to more look at the fat guy over there. Look at that guy on nachos, make fun of him, where the guy looks like he's could kick your ass. They're going to stay with.
And that is something. The fat guy just having lunch can have a picture taken of him. Doesn't matter what he's eating. But if he's eating something that's not a salad, it could become a meme.
Yep.
And it's done because, this is fat America. And all he's doing is eating a hot dog or something like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead, doctor.
I was gonna say there are probably more people that are self-conscious about their body that are overweight than there are people who are in shape, like Chris Hemsworth.
Well, let me add to that a little bit, just because we're not in bad moods here, but the physique, the male physique in the 80s is just important as the female physique, and we're not even talking about the females, okay? But like, for example, he's pretty much an average dude. He's got somewhat okay genetics. He's not young anymore, so it's harder when you get older. You can still lift weights at any age, even if you're 50 or 60. Most people in resting homes these days that are older, if they even got on a minor weight program, which you can do, I'd say half of them probably would be back at home, instead of sitting around waiting to die, because taking it easy is the wrong advice. So you get somebody like him who's paid a lot of money to be a professional, to work really, really hard at something. To your point, doctor says, something that sounds like a victim statement. And here's the thing. If you're going to be a bodybuilder and you just want big muscles, we want to do curls for the girls, work on your abs so you can have razor thin abs. You want to bulk up and put on 40 pounds in 2 weeks and then cut 25 pounds off so you're 2% body fat. You know what? That's dumb, stupid, unrealistic, will never happen. More power to you, because at least you're putting the work in a gym. But I guarantee you, the majority of the people at the gym I go to, they're interested in having a good-looking physique. And you know what? It's okay. But here's the thing. When you train for your body to look a certain way rather than perform, you know that, hey, I've got a big puffy chest because I've done a lot of stuff that blows it up, rather than, hey, I'm really trying to get as strong as possible. So the goal dictates what you do if you're really training. And these people that are working hard and all that, of course they're enhanced, most of them. And you know what? Who cares? It doesn't automatically make you do it. You still have to do it. But these guys are not really working really, really hard at getting strong. They're working really, really hard at making their physique look as symmetrical as possible, blowing up a few of the male muscles with the traps and the shoulders and the chest a little bit, narrowing the waist, getting a little bit maybe on their hips or whatever it is they have to show, and that's it. And so, again, steroids, nobody cares. It'd be wonderful, in my opinion, if everybody had the opportunity to be able to afford them and be on a nice dose or two here and there, because that can do wonders for you. But when you get somebody like him that's, a person playing a fake role and getting into fake shape for something because that's not his lifestyle, complain about it. It's more than the victim mentality, doctor. It's the mentality of a lot of people that go in there and they only bench press, do nothing else for their body, and they think they're, really, really strong and physical. It's not. When you try to do something mentally for show rather than to go, as we like to say, you know that you're doing it, and ultimately that makes it worse. That's why the most insecure people in the gym are like the people in Hollywood. They're the ones that really aren't working as hard as they can. They know they're cutting corners and everything else there too. I can't tell you how many older guys I've known in their 50s, 60s, even a guy or two in their 70s that lift weights. They do not have a good-looking physique at all, but they are racking that weight and they are pumping that iron hard, working a lot harder than guys half their age or even a third their age. They've got that old man strength, and that's real, because here's the thing in real life. You can't tell by looking. In Hollywood, nobody gives a shit. They only care about what you look like. So I agree with you. He's probably paid to say something like it and complain about it. You know what, dumbass? You're the one who put your photos out there looking like it. So it just disgusts me that people come out there and then they get what might be seen as almost nearly unobtainable results due to his millionaire privilege status, and to sit there and complain about it to everybody. That's the wrong image to send anybody. And in the 80s, you can say what you want about steroids and bodybuilders. You'll get somebody like Schwarzenegger that was on the Presidential Fitness Council with Reagan, and of course, he turned that into being a governor. It was encouraged that you got a lot of activity and everything else there too. It wasn't, oh, you're fat, therefore you need to go around. It's like, no, everybody go exercise. Hey, if you enjoy doing this, go play this sport, go do that. Outside play was encouraged in the sun. You got Joe saying he laid asphalt for a couple of days in the Coast Guard. Hey, guess what? I spend half my time during the week out in the sun here in Florida, and he can tell you how bad that is. It's a job. You got to do it. Don't complain about it. Feel privileged. You have the ability to be able to work at it, because I wanted to transition into somebody who, when you look at his photos currently, they're not very flattering. But I just think when I watch these two guys, who do I think's more of a man? Who's the guy's physique that ultimately in their best shape I would rather emulate? And it's not a whining crybaby little guy like him. It's Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's packed on his pounds. He's gone through divorce. He's gone through some life issues. I'm sure he's slimming down now for another role. But he's somebody that looks, as E, and you will attest to this, is comfortable in his skin. And it doesn't matter if you're bald, short, fat, ugly, toothless, hairy-backed. If you've got charisma, none of that matters. It helps.
Thank you.
When you're young, but it's true. I was thinking of Russell Crowe, not you, but you know
Hey,
what?
it works.
You can sing better than Russell Crowe, though, even though he was a musician.
my whole thinking of the reason why, in all honesty, I don't worry too much. Yeah, I want to lose some pounds, but that's only because I actually want to be able to walk from here to there without breathing heavy, you know, and that happens when you let yourself go. But sorry, man, I know how I got this way, so I'm not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm so. No, dude. Look, if Gail loves me, I'm okay. You know, if my kids love me, I'm okay. So, yeah, when I lose the weight, it's going to be good, and because it's for me. That's it. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. But yeah, you're right. And that's part of it.
It's such an unrealistic message to people.
I did not hear a word you just said after unrealistic.
Neither did I.
Oh, no, it's just saying it's such an unrealistic message to send people that are fans of yours and look up to you and might want to say, hey, here's a guy that, you know, seems like he's an average Joe as far as body, physique, looks. I mean, he's not a bad looking guy and he's got actually a nice looking physique. But when he talks that stuff, it totally undermines anybody that might look at him and go, hey, if I just go to the gym and I work hard and I, you know, maybe get in a better diet, instead of being inspirational and using our platform for body positivity, as people might say, you know, you're using it just exactly as Doctor so magnificently described as a victim statement. I mean, Doctor, this can't be the only guy to you. Oh, that's what he sounds like. That's what the doctor said, and I totally agree.
No, you. No, we're talking about the actual guy, the actor, not you.
Oh, the actor.
Yeah,
okay, I was wondering. I was thinking, what the freaking hell did I say to be a victim? I'm telling you, just flat out the opposite.
No.
You're a victim of being a shadow band. That's it.
Well, that happens quite a bit.
Well, the only thing I can think of too, guys, as far as that goes, I mentioned Russell Crowe and his physique and how even on his best day, while he's very manly and masculine, visually may not be the standard that a lot of people think they like. But I mean, you guys probably are more aware with the comic book heroes that they go on certain cycles and beef up and everything too. And frankly, who cares? Like I said, but maybe you guys do. I don't know. But what is it lately with everything that's going on where people are not, how do I say this? I don't really watch the show, but I guess somebody that's a voiceover actor who plays a black guy's voice as a white guy, he resigned because he felt he shouldn't because he's not black.
Oh.
And I'm just, you know what? We're doing voiceover work, which is a form of acting, as well as acting. And it's like, does that mean English people or, you know, Americans can't have English accents or English people can't have American accents? I mean, for Christ's sake, when do we draw the line? It's acting. It's all fake and phony. Who cares? I mean, really, who cares?
So there was this woman, and surprisingly enough, she was playing a character who was exactly the same mixed race that she was, quit because a person of color should have the job. I'm like, well, that's the dumbest fucking, excuse my language again, that's the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard. And then that sparked off other people like the girl from that God show. Anyway, she dropped off as well, and she was saying, you know, of course, because she was playing a black girl in the cartoon, the black actress, and that just spawned everybody. And I let out a tweet about, gosh darn it, I forgot his name, but anyway, this one black guy who's an incredible voice actor. I'm a big fan, and I said, look, if you're telling me that white people can't voice black characters, then you're also, because I believe everybody should be judged equally, that black people can't voice white people, and this guy's brilliant. So yeah, I don't want to hear any of this. He got pissed, not just me, but a lot of people brought him up. He's like, keep my name out of your effing mouths. You are so far missing the point. This whole thing, and that's what has been coming, Rob, is that only people who are exactly like the role can play the role anymore. If you are a non-mentally disabled person, if you're and you play somebody like that, you're making fun of them. No, you're acting like them. It's become ridiculous. And I've said this before on my other channel. I'm going to say it here. And I swear to gosh, I want everybody to say it. So what? Anytime this cancel culture, somebody brings something up, so what? That's what they need to hear so many freaking times. People need to hear so what a lot. Hey, this guy did this. So what? How's this affecting you? How's this changing your rent? You know, there's kids are out there freaking bitching and moaning about everything, and it's just So what? It's a freaking TV show. You're going to watch it. You're either going to enjoy it, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to move on. We did a watch party. Speaking of just a TV show, we did a watch party, and it should have showed up here as well for Hamilton.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, it's based on the play, and it
Right.
tells the story of Hamilton, from what I understand. Lin-Manuel, or whatever his name is, wrote it after he was inspired by reading the biography of Alexander Hamilton. Okay, fine, sure, fine. Everybody jumped on this thing, man. It was that's why we chose to do that. It was like, okay, yeah, this is something that people are looking out for. Let's see how it does. So we decided to watch it until the intermission, because it's like 2 hours and 36 minutes. So I'm watching this. And this is a cultural event, Rob. I'm telling you, people shut down when this thing came out to watch it, because it's just that huge of a show. It's like when Phantom of the Opera first came out, and it's all right.
The Phantom had some talent behind it, right? Michael
Yeah.
Crawford and all
Well,
that. I mean, seriously.
Here's the thing. Look, I'm not a fan of this guy. I've seen him do his bit. He was in the Mary Poppins reboot that came out, and I didn't like that movie at all. But he's a rapper, and he writes rap, and the whole thing is it's a musical, but it's rap music, so it's like it's a rap opera instead of a rock opera. I was watching this.
I like the idea of that.
Okay, yeah, my mom actually watched it and goes, "Oh, that's so good." I'm like, "Yeah." But the thing is I'm watching it and there's no moment. And that was one thing I kept mentioning. They've got a revolving stage and they never really take advantage of it. I mean, they'll have people move, but these aren't movements that warrant a revolving stage. It's just, you're going around, and I'm like, you could put together any kind of awesome dance. You could put together any kind of, or awesome choreography, something to use this. And it just seems it's there. It's there to show. At one point they used it to show chaos. And I said, okay, finally they used the revolving stage the way it's supposed to. And there was one point where this woman, she plays Alexander Hamilton's wife, and she's complaining about him, and the revolving stage moves her right in front of him. So it goes from what she wants to say to what she's saying. And I thought, okay, that's good. But there were just those two very small instances. And I was saying this, there's just no wow factor to Alexander Hamilton. It's a gimmick. We're going to race swap all of the characters, and we're going to use rap music. Beyond that,
I'll work in a sports reference here, because I think it ties into something I know you wanted to bring up with Shia Labeouf and Brownface, and the doctor may want to comment on that or this. Obviously part of the Xtreme movie show, I went off on a tangent on my own in the fall and did Rob's Redskins review, where I would cover the Washington Redskins weekly game football, just with some initial thoughts after the movie, kind of like locker room talk, or talk with your buddies and stuff. And it's actually fairly popular, and I was looking forward to doing it again. I know that we've had a different audience crew listen to that, and then check out the movies and stuff on your channel, and stuff Doctor and I have done. And so right now, of course, there's this manufactured outrage about the Redskins name being racist, of course, and it's certainly not. Of course, that's all you'll ever hear.
Redskins, they were the Warriors. And the people who know that are like, wait a second, what are you guys talking about? This isn't, but of course.
Here's the thing with pressure, though.
Okay.
The guy who's the owner a few years back put out a statement basically saying, we'll never change the name. You can put that on all caps, period, done. And this guy's probably considered a fanboy. He grew up a big fan of the Washington Redskins. He got into a lot of money, bought the team due to some mistakes with the way the transition from one family to another happened. He had an opportunity, came in, he bought it. It was real splashy, spent a lot of money. A lot of people took his youthful exuberance, because he was a younger guy at the time, as just being the fanboy and blindsided, as a mark, basically. So the Redskins franchise, to a lot of people that are older fans like myself and then NFL fans, we're sad to see this, one of the best franchises in the NFL, just go downhill, especially in the last 20 years. So a statement came out the other day that took everybody by surprise, where he says the Washington Redskins are doing a complete review of their name. And typically what that means is the decision's already been made, but they're kind of putting out these trial balloons out there to warm everybody up, to generate interest. Exactly. And so this happens, of course, with hype machines when it comes to any sorts of media, not just movies and songs or plays like Hamilton, which is nothing but hype, it sounds like. And what's disappointing to me is okay, I can understand that if you really felt the name was racist and you've come to some epiphany in your life that being the owner of the team, you have the right to choose and decide that you want to change the name. I'm totally on board with that. The problem is not that it looks like he's being hypocritical, Dan Snyder. I'm speaking over the Washington Redskins. It's the fact that, like with movies today, and what you're probably going to talk about here in a moment with Brownface and Shia, is that, okay, names mean things. They have meaning behind them, and when you try to change them all, they lose their meaning. So trying to make everything as allegedly insulting as possible to everybody, of course, takes it all away, and it's intentional. But when he sits there and wants to change it because of all this political pressure, because some people that advertise with him asked him to change his name, you're bowing into the pressure, you're bending the knee, and in his case, both. And so if he chooses to do it, I just don't know if I could ever watch him again, because it's like what we just talked about with this Camille guy, basically working really hard, allegedly getting a nice physique, and then acting like he's a piece of meat victim because of the way people look at him. Well, it's a physique. People have eyes. People are going to notice it. You're an actor. You really are that dumb and stupid to think that the physicality of who you are and the way you speak does not influence people. Looks matter, words matter, everything. And in a world like movies, where all that stuff is extremely important, it's just ridiculous to sit there and say it's not just sports, not just politics, it's in everyday life. It's quite sickening. So if somebody's being insulting, I think we watching it aren't stupid as people that consume media. We know that if Shia Labeouf and whatever you're going to talk about is being insulting, we would get that vibe. We pick up on it. We would say something about it, white, black, or whatever. If somebody's acting as something and they suck, guess what? You and I love comics and old man comics and everything else. We'll sit there and say something about, hey, this writer sucks. This is why. When we did Boys on Buff, we talked about the feminism, not because we're interested in the politics, but because it's a part of the show. And I don't know Josh Whedon at all. I could care less. We talked about what we liked, what we didn't like, what we observed, what we're looking forward to doing, and that's how we do it. So it's just very, very disappointing that people allegedly work hard at something like for a physique and then act like a victim. And then you get some people that bend the knee thinking if they placate people and do all the right things like they're doing in movies now, that's going to help. And it never does. So it's kind of a sad spate that we're in here. But I've not heard the Shia news. What exactly is going on?
Alrighty. So apparently, the movie he's doing is getting nailed for brown facing. It's directed by David Ayer, and it's called The Tax Collector. He's playing a white boy who grew up in the hood.
Okay, we grew up in the hood. That's not a joke.
Yeah. Okay, so even though I've got like a gajillion other things open here, let me close up a few. Just show how much eBay I'm actually looking at. Here you go. I'll share the thing. And I want you to tell me if you think that, because I'm looking at him going, he looks like he's got a tan. It doesn't look like he's brown facing. What the hell are you talking about? But it's right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. That's not. I don't get it anyway. Shia Labeouf is playing a white boy who grew up in the hood in this new crime thriller Tax Collector, but that hasn't stopped quite a few.
It's in the Cholo accent. That's the funniest part of this. Now I want to see because I want to hear him talk that way.
Yeah,
and they don't care as long as they get my money, right?
The trailer for that Tax Collector arrived last week, and it's received its fair share of controversy since the story follows two tax collectors, by the way, played by Shia and Bobby Soto. They are employed underneath the menacing crime lord known as the Wizard. Many are upset with the alleged use of brown face, which is the same as blackface in depicting someone who's not of a race in the football. Okay.
You think I'm local, man? You think I'm crazy? Hey, that's a really good look, actually. I mean, honestly, he looks the role.
My thinking is, once again, look.
Well, is he playing Italian or is he playing a regular white guy? Or
he said
it's playing a mixed race Mexican.
So why not? But here's the thing:
it's make believe. Who cares?
Say what you will. Say what you will about Shia. The man's freaking nutso, but the boy can act, and he's proved it. He's taken it serious. As a person, he's a freaking nut bar. But he's one of those, and he is kind of a method guy that actually people, one of those actors that other actors hate. Like he because he knew his character wouldn't shower in that Fury, the movie about the tank. He didn't shower, so that everybody else is like, God,
dude, his best role when he was screaming at the camera was, "They'll not tear us apart."
Oh yeah. So he's a nut bar, but damn. Here's the thing, guys. Come on. And do we have to do this thing? It's a mixed race, but we're gonna forget one of those races. It's ridiculous. I look at it and I go, I just see Shia LaBeouf, and at the most you could say he's got a tan. Look, that happens to some white people. I've got Scottish blood. I got Scottish skin. Unless I'm slow burning, I walk out in the sun and it's a full-on sunburn. I have achieved great tans before, but it takes a bit. But that's the whole thing. White people can tan. Big damn deal. It kills me that he's brown facing. Give me 3 days in the sun and I'll show you brown face.
Well, we mentioned before how on a few older films that we've done on Extreme Classics, where we've talked about how you really didn't know too much about the person you're watching, like say Humphrey Bogart, till after he passed and everything. And now with all this instant information out, people dig back and they try to cancel, and you look up stuff and manufacture controversy. And you know what? That's the age we live in. That's what we have to deal with. But here's the problem when everybody wants to go ahead and not just say get offended, but with all this information comes out and everybody wants to get on their soapbox, it's just, at some point, you just tune out. And here's the thing. Back then, we paid a lot more attention as a society towards films, towards movies, towards things we did. We had the ability to focus more than what happens now. You can't today take the phone out of anybody's hand without having them paying attention. That's why, even though people say it's the golden age of TV, there's so many great things on. I would say just by sheer volume, you might have a couple things that are decent and good. I don't think they're anything necessarily better than some of the stuff in the 70s, 80s, and there's a lot of crap then. But in terms of high quality stuff, I'm not seeing too much in it of anything new. I'm not seeing anything groundbreaking. I'm not seeing anything challenging where they're going to sit there and say, yeah, we're going to say racist stuff in here or whatever. Nobody's going to do that too much these days or use the N-word like they did in Blazing Saddles. So at some point, even the low, what's the word I'm looking for? The low focus people of today are going to tune all this stuff out because, again, why do I want to hear some millionaire bitch and complain about how hard it was to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli made and designed by chefs to my exact specifications of my body chemistry and give me all the pills that I can just bend over and take a noodle once a week and work out for? You're going to stop spending money on it. You give away too much, like we talked about with the Redskins or anything else, and people are going to want to take you out. At some point, you can't do it anymore.
Never
if somebody like, exactly, I mean, you know what? If it's important for you to do it because you mean it, okay, great. But I agree with RDV. Manufactured comment, statement. All this hoopla and stuff is just hype to try to get people to see moving. Before, in the 80s, it was simpler. Oh, wow, let's go see Dolph Lundgren. He's not going to speak at all, but damn, he's looking really hot and juicy in this film. It's true. I mean, hey, what was the big scene in Predator when Arnold and my boy
Danny Glover?
No, not Danny Glover. No, Apollo Creed. Carl Weathers. When they sit there and they meet, and then they both got the polos on, and then they do the arm thing, and then their biceps are both popping and all that. That sex scene. Every dude loves that thing. It's awesome. It's solidarity. I mean, you can't get more white and black than that, literally. But then when you'd hear about the movie, you'd hear everybody sit there and go, yeah, Arnold would say, I'd ran 5 miles today. And then Carl would say, well, yeah, I just did 10. And it was just this friendly, competitive thing where everybody was enjoying it. And the love for each other came out in the film and the movie. That's why we like it. We didn't care about the stupid alien and, oh my God, JCVD was going to play it, but he ended up doing something else. Nobody cares. It's just that chemistry that comes out on screen. And if you hate yourself that much to go on national TV and go, I feel bad because people look at my body and I'm objectified. Shut up. I'm still irritated by that. God, be comfortable in who you are and what work you put into it, for God's sakes. And you know what? Most people, if you don't have talent, you can fake it till you make it, and they can find a role for you. And we talked about this before with females that are comics. Most of them aren't funny. You put them in the right situation, with the right film, or right character, they're gold. So casting matters, as well as writing and everything else there too. And to act like everybody's interchangeable means, guess what? We don't need unions. We don't need casting directors. We don't need all these people. Hey, why does it really matter? Let's just not do it at all. Let's just green screen everything and go back to friggin' cartoons, right?
And I may piggyback after that. I'm so rich and just too much money, and I look so good.
Are we? You know, he doesn't actually sound like this.
I know, but it's what they all sound like to me.
He does.
Oh God.
He gets mad and he gets upset. That's what he talks like.
They all sound like freaking gold member. I have so much gold. I wish I could be peasant like you guys.
Okay, first of all, Goldmember was Swedish.
Take
not
the Faja
Indian.
away.
All of a
Go
sudden,
play that role. I bet you're suited for that. You don't have to work out for it. Put on the fat suit. Quickly.
I understand that all these celebrities can play like, I have such a hard life. And as they wipe their tears off with their $100 bill stacks.
Look, I'm going to defend something that upsets a lot of people socially, and that's rap music. Not the biggest fan, especially the mumble crap that's out there today and the electronic stuff of all music I despise. It was a lot of fun in the 80s when we talked about rap in the late 70s, early 80s. But here's one thing that I appreciate, the fact that wannabe gangster thugs like Ice Cube and everybody else that claims they're tough and in the hood, I appreciate the fact that whether they were real thuggish or not, they acted like, hey, this is the only thing that matters, and I don't really care. And
Ice Cube wasn't a thug.
They reveled in the image that they were trying to be in, and they didn't make excuses for it, or at least act like they didn't. And you know, somewhere along the way, that's still refreshing to me, because they didn't act like a victim. They could talk about how hard their life was growing up in Compton and everything else there too, while they got all their bitches and hoes, condoms and knives. Who cares? At least they lived what their so-called life was. There's no group that does that today.
I do believe that Ice Cube was actually raised in an affluent, or at least an okay to do two-parent home, which is a little bit different than the life he's actually mimicked. And I regret wiping on your memory, says Krim. Let's see. I did jail time for guns and drugs. Am I a gangsta now? I guess. I don't know. I don't know what
I mean, you're only a thug if you're like Shock G from Digital Underground, get arrested.
Is there actually a list of things you need to do to become thug? I mean, I saw Thug Life, and all it took was Ben Shapiro to insult SJW. So I guess
you ain't down with it unless you know your basic thugonomics.
Right, and if you don't vote Biden, you're not black. We've heard it before. Yes,
he was so good as a fake thug. His battle raps and his chains, but that's what makes that stuff entertaining, because they take something and they exaggerate it. In the 80s, we took a nice physique and we exaggerated it. And you got somebody like Arnold, who was known for his symmetry, not being a mass monster. We loved it. We ate that shit up in the 80s. We could not get enough of it. We've talked about it with every Chuck Norris movie. Chuck Norris had a template from Breaker on, and we've gone through a lot of the early Chuck Norris until we got to Invasion USA, when he just absolves all this template and he just goes bigger and badder. And
I love Invasion USA. Invasion USA is one of the dumbest movies you could ever love.
Your catch.
And I do, by the way. All right. Okay, guys, you know what? On that, we're gonna say thank you very much for hanging out with us. What ended up going to be about Shia Labeouf, I think, what actually turned out to be a great way to really just give it to that comedian from the Eternals. I'm not gonna.
That was gonna happen, I swear.
And Dragon Ball's comment, what qualification should be a Joker henchman? That's for another I Love Comics debate.
There you go. But thanks for hanging out with us, man. And thanks to Rob and RDV for helping out with the conversation. As always, thank you very, very much for watching. And remember,